Hello and welcome to the United Stand. I'm joined by Sander and Sophie with me tonight. They're going to be quiet because we're going to start the show off with one of our fan cams, famous from December when he really went for it. Is Jose Mourinho going out of fashion? Is his future in doubt? Well, this is what Paul thought after the game today.
Finished second, so fucking what? We may as well finish fourth. We didn't challenge for the league. We've not challenged once, so it doesn't matter. Last season we finished 9 points behind City, so what? We're 19 points behind them now. Don't tell me we've fucking progress this season. No fucking way. Champions League, Seville, knocked out, man. No fucking way, mate. I don't see no progress happening there. I don't see it. Tell me where the progress is. Second, we may as well finish fourth. We may as well finish fourth.
So in terms
got Champions League, that's all it got us. It only got us Champions League, that's it. If we challenged for the league and we lost by 6 points, yeah, fair enough, we fucking went for it. We didn't fucking go for it, there's no point. We may as well finish fourth. And if them fucking Scouts cunts win that Champions League in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, well, if you want to watch the rest of the video, because it's quite funny what he said about that, the eye in the top right-hand corner is where you want to be. Very, very angry there. I mean, I know where Xander's going to go, so we'll start with you. You've been to games this season. You've watched United this season. I know you didn't see the game today because you were playing yourself, but we were talking before we went on air. One shot on goal, which we scored. Pretty much what we've been seeing for the last few weeks. What do you think about Paul, what he's saying there? Is it over the top? Is there really no progress, or do you empathise with what he's saying?
To be honest, I think he's right in what he's saying. I think we're too negative in our style of play. He's over the top. He does exaggerate, yes. But you know what? I said the other day, I think we're lucky to be second this season. I think people have been really inconsistent behind us, like Spurs and Liverpool, for example. I think our style of football at the moment under Jose Mourinho is not good enough. Something's got to change next season. And like I said, I think he needs to win the league next year in order to keep his job, to be honest with you. I think, he's a bit over the top, he says it. But I get what he's saying. I do think, genuinely, we are lucky to be second this season.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the live comments will come to them. Some of them are saying he's right, some of them saying wrong. This is the divided fan base that we have. Darren Sweetman says is he right? He's not wrong. But what I want to say, I know where Xander's going to go, so it's going to be quite interesting. But I had something I wanted to start this show off with, and I put Paul in because I thought he sort of drives the show early on. But I just feel that Mourinho struggles, and I am somebody who backs Mourinho, but I feel he struggles because he's out of fashion. He is like a pair of old trainers that you like. You know, they're well worn, they're comfortable, they've been successful in the past, but there's these new trainers on the block that have got all the technology, all the looks, and everybody wants the new trainers. And I think that is Mourinho's problem, Xander, is, they're retro, he's brilliant, but in the modern day, he's out of fashion. His style of football is not the in thing at the moment. It's like a word that used to be good. I use it, cool. No one uses it anymore. I still think it's good. It's not. And I think that's Mourinho's problem. It's not that he's crap anymore, because there is progress. We're second in the league. There is progress. We've got 80 points, haven't we? You know, we're in an FA Cup final. There is progress, but it's out of fashion progress. And I think that is where I'm trying to understand the divide, basically.
I mean, it's not pretty progress, but it is progress. You know, it does win things. We've not won the league. We've won the Europa League, Carabao Cup last season as well. Second in the league. Obviously, City streets ahead of us, but people act as if we're sixth. We're bloody second. Like we have been the second best team in the league, and it is doing okay. FA Cup final, Europa League last season, and Carabao Cup. As well. It's not pretty. It never has been. But I think over time, we'll have to be proven right or wrong, whatever you believe in. But I think, I personally think it will never be pretty. It might get slightly better, but I think it's going to win things, and that's Jose Mourinho for you.
Danny Green says, stop the progression nonsense when Manchester United and standards are lowering. And talk about... No, I'm not going to talk about that, Lukaku. Sorry, Jack Swan. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about it, although I do agree with you. He's not over the top. He's passionate. If our team and manager had that passion, there would be no problem. Now, I do agree with that with you, Daniel. I really do agree with that. If we had that passion on the pitch, it'd be fantastic. Michael Carrick won us that game today. If Carrick hadn't have been playing, that pass really was the only bit of genuine quality in the game. And Carrick's, that was a cameo. That was a testimonial moment. Matthew McFadden's made a contribution. He says, Jose Mourinho is an analog manager trying to succeed in a digital world. I like it. And I do agree with that. I mean, 19 points off the top of the league. Second place, Xander and everyone else can hide behind it, Sophie, but 19 points off first. I sort of understand what Paul was saying, that, we may as well be fourth. All we've got is Champions League. We've been embarrassed as much as Liverpool and Spurs. Just because we're a couple of points closer to Man City, it doesn't matter. And on top of that, let's take Mourinho out of the equation as well. I think United fans deserve a lot of credit. I mean, we have been spoiled, but let's be factual. It's 5 years now of this sort of mundane football. We are enduring a pretty, in relation to football terms, it's not easy to watch, is it? Especially when our rivals are playing so well.
It's becoming a chore to watch United at the minute, to be honest with you. It really is, and we shouldn't be saying that. But people say, it's not the Manchester United way, it's not the United way. But I'm afraid to say it, under Mourinho, this is the way that we're going to see. And like Sander says, maybe it will slightly improve, but he's not going to change his ways to suit United. So at the moment, I think it's a case of us putting up with it and hoping that it improves slightly.
Yeah, I mean, Kean Dowland's made a contribution. He says, who would you get him to replace Mourinho next year? Which I think is always the very pertinent question, which is one of the reasons I'm Mourinho in. I'm only Mourinho in for two reasons. One, I can't see anyone we can bring in to get to do the job better at this time. And two, he wins titles everywhere he is. I know he does it in the first 2 years, but what if he does it in the third year? It's too big a risk. And he's not going anywhere anyway, but that's basically my mentality. But I do agree with everybody. The football is atrocious. We look confused. We look lacking confidence. We look like there's no leadership on the pitch. And I must admit, I am confused, Xander. And I know you are, very, very... Let me just read this one. Abanaf says United should have had 20 more points. We should have thrashed teams like Stoke, Newcastle, Brighton, etc. I mean, Sophie touched on it there, Xander. We're going into a massive, massive summer. We had one shot on target today at home to Watford in the last game of the season. Spurs had over 20. Liverpool won 4-0 and had over 20, I think, as well. There's no excuses for that sort of lethargic, lazy football at home for Manchester United. And, I'm quite proud of those United fans who are getting frustrated by it, because I'm sure Jose and the club will be like, well, this is negativity, we don't want this. But they're driving the negativity. They're driving it against a fan base that is not used to this and will quite rightly resist it, because history shows us that Manchester United are an attacking, youthful football club who takes risks. They are going to have a problem next season if this persists. It is not Manchester United. It is not what the fans are used to, but we've got a manager and a board that are trying to rewrite what we're about, and the fans will surely resist that.
I mean, yeah, we've seen it, haven't we? The fans this season have hated it. And look, I haven't enjoyed the style of play either. I'd obviously much prefer us to go forward, bombing down the wings, attacking style of play. But what I'm saying is, over the last few seasons, we've been, 7th, 4th, 5th and 6th. We're bloody second this season. Right? I know we sit 19 points off Manchester City, but it's still progression. And I'm not happy. I'm not celebrating second. I'm celebrating progression. And you cannot tell me there's been no progression, because there has been. There has been. So next season, if we come second again and it's same boring style of play, yeah, I won't be happy. But if we keep progressing and start to improve the style of play and the results start getting a little bit better as well, then I'll be happy. But all I'm saying is I'm happy with Mourinho. Like you say, Mark, he's steadying the ship. We've had an absolute disaster the last 4 or 5 years. He's settled it down. He's got us winning games again. And yeah, we might be 19 points off, but we're still second. And I think, like I said, style of play's got to get better, and it isn't the United way. But for me, steady the ship, start getting points down, and just continue the progress.
I mean, I'll just throw that back at you, because it's quite interesting. You mentioned the mess that Mourinho inherited. Fair enough, I totally agree with that. And it is 5 years since we won a title. But at the end of next season, Mourinho will have been in charge for 50% of the time since we haven't won a title. So you can moan about Moyes and Van Gaal, but he will have had 50% of that time since Sir Alex Ferguson. He's got to win the title next season. Is he going to? Are you confident where we are at the moment that this team playing this way, which is what way? I mean, the only consistency with United is we don't create chances and we're lazy, and we don't know what our best 11 is. Sophie said that previously. We don't know what our system is. We don't know what our philosophy is. We know that we're going to probably lose players that we don't want to lose, that are popular with the players. We know he's going to probably bring older players in. I mean, how? And we're 19 points behind a team that plays fantastically well. Are we going to win the title next season? In your mind, how do we do it?
You've hit me with a bombshell there, Mark.
But I think this is what the fans are saying now. It's not, the progress, as you say, is factual. You cannot deny it. But beyond I just feel the fans who are going on about second, that it's like Kareem says, why are we accepting finishing second? We're Manchester United, Man City won the league and Liverpool can win the Champions League. We can't settle. And I just feel that, yes, we can keep going second in FA Cup, but we're Manchester United. Come on, let's scratch the surface, because underneath the surface, there's a lot of problems.
I've got my hand up. Basically, I'm not celebrating second. I'm celebrating the progression. So for me, it's not, yeah, bloody hell, we finished second. Like, we're really happy about that. We're runners up. We get a runners up medal. It's not that. It's the progression. So next season, if we get second, I'll be like, well, that's a bit dodgy. I'm not happy with that, because we're not progressing. So next season, we do have to win the league. We do have to improve our style of play. We do have to get further in the Champions League. But from last season, when we are now, for me, I'm happy with the transition. You can't go from 6th and Europa League to smash in first with the way City are playing. And I know the way City are playing is sort of, you can hide behind it. But for me, I'm happy with the way we're going. I'm not celebrating second. I'm celebrating the progression, and I'll maintain that.
I mean, you could argue, Sophie, that Carabao Cup, Europa League and 6th is better than second and an FA Cup. I mean, it's marginal, really. 2 cups and 6th, you still get Champions League over second and an FA Cup. It's not massive. The football style, you could say, is not massively different. But, I mean, same question. I mean, pick up on anything that's been said there, but I feel that this is Mourinho's last summer unless he wins the title. Are you confident that we're going to win the title next season?
No, I'm not confident we're going to win the title next season at all. I think the gap between us and City is ridiculous. And I also think if you look at styles of play like Liverpool and Spurs, they've been inconsistent this season, which is why we are second. I genuinely think that is the only reason why we've got second this season. I think the game's evolving and we seem to be stuck in the past at the minute, in the Stone Ages with Jose. I genuinely do. And the thing that worries me is we've got players. If you look at our squad on paper, we have got players who should be phenomenal. Why is it not working on the pitch? Because for me, you can't tell me this has happened now week in, week out. Jose Mourinho should be working on things in training, but we keep having the same problems. And I know he keeps changing his personnel. Like you said, he hasn't found his best 11 or his best system yet to suit, which is also worrying. But I just think the lack of risks taken by our players tells me that they're scared to make a mistake. And for whatever reason, and maybe it is Jose Mourinho, but they are scared to make a mistake. Nobody's trying to beat man. Since when do you see us at United stretch teams anymore? So I think like you say, Mark, there's a lot of problems beneath the surface. Yes, we need a big summer in order to help us, but I'm not confident. I think he needs to win the league next season, but I'm not confident that we're going to do it.
It's interesting just to pick up on that, because one of the notes I'd made before the show was that I saw Mourinho today on the sidelines smiling. I saw him against the West Ham game smiling. There wasn't much to smile about from a Manchester United point of view. Not creating chances, very much on the back foot. Just boring, I think is the word to say. But he looks relaxed. But as you said there, you pointed out, the team looks leaderless. It looks like it's lacking confidence. That is, again, factual, that we are struggling to create chances. We lack an identity. The team changes every week. I mean, what's your interpretation of Mourinho? Because I have none. I'm confused. I'm confused about what we're doing. I'm confused about the philosophy, as I said. I'm confused why he's happy. I'm confused about what the big idea is after 2 years. But he seems to be quite pragmatic about it, and I would be absolutely terrified, because that gap is big, like you say. I mean, where do you stand on Mourinho? What do you think? I mean, some people feel he's out of love with the game anyway. Some people feel he's just not that into it. Some people feel he's got a plan. I mean, what are your thoughts in relation to Jose? Because I think it's this apathy that is affecting some fans.
As you know, Mark, I've said I was Jose in, and I was similar to you, saying I don't know who is available, who could replace him at the moment, and that was my thinking. But I must admit, as weeks have gone by, I've been more swayed to the Jose out, because we just haven't been improving. And it's more like you say, his persona. He doesn't look bothered by the fact that, yeah, we have been really poor, and I mean really poor. We've been shocking at times, and he doesn't seem too bothered about that. And I saw on the United Stand's Instagram the other day a vote saying the FA Cup and second place. Would you count that as a good season? For me, no, because the gap's too big between us and City. And as mentioned earlier, we've got Champions League. We might as well have finished 4th than finish 2nd because that gap is so big. FA Cup makes it slightly better, but for me, it's papering over the cracks a little bit. What do you think? Do you think it's been a good season for United if we get the FA Cup and finish 2nd?
I think acceptable is the word I would use. If we don't win the FA Cup, it's a bad season. I mean, Xander?
No, yeah, I think, look, not good. I mean, we're not celebrating going, bloody hell, you know what, 2nd and FA Cup, that's a brilliant season. No, obviously we want to be challenging for the league. That 19-point gap is unacceptable. Some of the performances, or the majority of the performances, like you guys say, have been unacceptable. But for me, once again, finishing last season to where we are now, and I personally think 6th and a Europa League is worse than a 2nd and an FA Cup. The reason being,
Carabao Cup though as well.
Sorry? Oh yeah, and the Carabao Cup. Yeah. So 6th
Big
Europa
cup,
League
that
and the
is.
Carabao Cup. No, but for me that's worse than the season we've had this season, because in the league you've got to do it week in, week out, and even though yes we have been somewhat inconsistent, you have to perform or get the results on a consistent basis. So it's more difficult to finish 2nd in the league, I think, than win the Europa League, because the Europa League, look at the run we had. Look at the run we had. What was a decent side that we had last season in the Europa League? Celta Vigo, Ajax. I don't know. Do you know, it wasn't very Anderlecht. So for me, this season, like you say, Mark, acceptable. Going on to next season, if we have the same one like this one, no, it's not acceptable. We've got to get better.
Right, Ray Carl Brown Amori says, and thanks for the contribution, Ray, he says, other teams regress is the reason why we're 2nd. I mean, I do agree with that. I think that the Premier League's getting worse beyond the top 6. I think that's why Man City are the first team to hit 100 points. I don't think it's anything to do with them being one of the best teams ever. They're quite simply not. They're not even in the top 5 for me, and they're nowhere near 99-08 United or Invincibles or 98 Arsenal and probably 05 Chelsea. They're nowhere near. So why didn't those teams get 100 points and this team did? It's quite simply because the standard of the Premier League lower teams is shit. But that is why they've got 100 points. And I'll put my hand up and say, I think United are probably the worst second place team ever, because I don't know how we've done it. And I've got to applaud Jose for that. I don't know how we've done it. I don't know how we've got second place. We've had some stinking performances, some stinking losses against bottom 3 clubs, but we are comfortably 2nd. And so you've got to applaud Mourinho for that. You have to. One of the things he didn't get applauded for today, that again, people were very confused by. A year ago, we saw Angel Gomez coming on for Wayne Rooney. We saw Harrop scoring. We saw a lot of young players in the last game of the season at home to Crystal Palace in a dead rubber game, days before a Europa League final. Today, we saw no youth in a dead rubber game against Watford, days before an FA Cup final. I think fans have tried to say we've got an FA Cup final, but then he's playing Darmian, who's going to be sold, Blind, who's going to be sold. He just totally and utterly ignored youth today, Sophie, and a lot of people were very upset and confused by that, because in a dead rubber game like that, that's an opportunity to hit some momentum and excites fans. And I, again, as a Mourinho fan, would say, does he not have a PR person with him? Because that was a quick win he ignored. Some people think he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I completely agree. Today was the perfect day for him to try youth out, but Jose doesn't like doing that, does he? Let's be honest. But yeah, it's a shame, really. Gomez, Chong, all of them today should have been given a run out. Even if they were sub and came on for an appearance, why not? It's something for the fans to look forward to for next season, isn't it? And you know what? Fans have been talking about them a lot this season because they've been impressing. Why not give us a look at them? Let's see them first team action. But it baffles me why Jose hasn't done that today, because it was the perfect time for us to do it. We've already got 2nd. It's Carrick's send off. Why not show what we've got coming through now that Carrick's moving on? But yeah, it baffles me.
And actually, you know what? I am confused, and we can't offer anything other than what Sophie's just said there and what I said as well. I mean, I can't understand why you wouldn't play Chong today. Nothing to lose. And actually, the first team players that he played were crap. Darmian was crap. Alexis Sanchez, I know he was a late-minute replacement for Martial, but he was awful. And he gets away with it week after week after week. Absolutely awful today. But he gets forgiven because of the fanboys, and Mourinho loves him. But, I don't get that at all. I don't know why Chong couldn't have played today. Marius says, too much talking, we're not good enough and our expectations have to drop. United is so flipping boring to watch. Jose has to sort himself out or else. And Sophie says, there is no denying we've progressed, but it's the way we are progressing. We're not playing that much youth. We play defensive football. Jose is constantly throwing his players under the bus. And Red Jedi says, Jose doesn't get the best out of his squad. He just buys a winning team. There's some very big frustration tonight. Very excited about the FA Cup. We must stay positive about that. But it would be remiss not to speak about Anthony Martial. Xander, what's your interpretation of that situation? Apparently injured on Friday, but Jose Mourinho said he was starting on Friday. There was reports of him being at the club at lunchtime and leaving. There was reports of his girlfriend going into labour. There's some people saying it's reminiscent of what happened with Van Nistelrooy, and that could be his last appearance. He could be injured, and it could still be his last appearance. What's your thoughts about it?
So, if he got injured on Friday, right, and apparently it's so bad that he will probably not play in the FA Cup final. If it's that bad, so a week plus, so it's clearly not going to play the game today, why did the club not announce it? Team news, a big loss for us. Unfortunately, Anthony Martial has gone out with an injury on the social media. So for Mourinho, for then it to happen today, the Manchester United account going, oh, he's injured, and then no developments on that until Mourinho says it was his knee. For me, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, and I do think Martial will be gone in the summer. To my discontent, I don't want it to happen. I love Martial. I'll never forget that last-minute winner against Everton in the semi-finals of the FA Cup under Van Gaal. I was jumping about. I was running around the house. I was so happy. And I think he can be anything he wants to be. He really, really does. He's got the ability that not many players have to allow the ball to stick to his feet. Rashford, he knocks the ball and he runs after it. He's a pace merchant, in my opinion. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. But he just relies on his pace. Without pace, Rashford, I don't think he's got much. But with Martial, he's got so much technical ability that regardless of pace, that will get you right to the very top. And like you say, it's unfortunate how Mourinho's dealt with him as a person. I know I ramble, but I just want to quickly touch on about, I was watching a documentary on Karim Benzema the other day. And his family and friends around him were saying, Karim Benzema needed the support. He needed a hug. He needed an arm around his shoulder. He didn't need to be told he was bad and shouted at. That's not going to motivate him. But Mourinho didn't understand that. And I think it's the same situation we've got here with Martial. Jose just can't deal with that sort of player. And I think it's very, very unfortunate. And I do believe he will go off and become a success wherever he does go.
Paul Robinson says we've so many problems, more than Martial. He makes no difference with the football we play anyway, i.e. the football doesn't suit him. I mean, Rashford wasn't great today either. Sanchez was poor, They're not poor players. I just think it's to do with the system. You're right, Xander, and we've spoken about that. Sophie obviously plays football as well, that you've got to be a good manager, you've got to deal with different personalities. But Jose's admitted this a year ago that he can't. This is why he loves Fellaini, because he loves players who are just mentally the run through brick walls ones, but that's not life. I mean, your interpretation of it, Sophie, that's probably not going to be a fan goodbye for Martial for the fans now. We've probably seen the last of him, I would have thought.
You asked me 2 weeks ago if I thought Martial would still be at United next season, and I said no, I can't see him staying at United. At the end of the day, he's got to play more regularly. He wants to be in the fan squad. He's good enough to get in that fan squad. As Sander just said, his ability is phenomenal. I don't agree with the treatment that Jose has basically put on Martial, where he's put Alexis Sanchez straight away on the left and replaced him. I don't agree with that treatment at all, and that will knock a player's confidence. But one thing I will say is that when he has been given chances of late, he hasn't really taken them. I don't think he's impressed us that much. He's been a bit inconsistent, and he needed to prove himself more as a 90-minute player rather than 20-minute player. But if you're not given the chances by the manager, there's not much more that he can do. I think for his personal benefit, he's got to leave United. If he wants to progress, he's still young, he's got that ability, he can be world class, and I'll be gutted because I think he'll be a world beater elsewhere. I genuinely do. But yeah, I think he's gone now. I think that was the last straw with him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do. But what I would say is, just to throw it back a minute, I mean, you're right about Martial. Probably needs to be more of a 90-minute player. I think he was treated badly by Mourinho, and I don't think Mourinho suits him. And I think he needs to go for his home career. And I'd be very interested to see how it goes. But when you look at all our forwards, Mata, Rashford, Lingard, Sanchez, Lukaku, Trying to think of somebody else. Obviously, Martial. None of them have been consistent in any game this season. I mean, there's some real talent there as well. I mean, what do you think that comes down to? Can it be a coincidence that it's all our attackers? Add Pogba in there as well, or do you detect that there might be something more behind that?
Jose constantly changes his lineups and changes his starting 11s. How can you get a consistent team if he doesn't know his consistent 11 or his consistent system? He's consistently playing Mata out wide when he's not a wide player, let's face it. So I think, you know what, it's not a coincidence at all, because you're playing players out of position, constantly changing the lineup each week, so consistency will be affected by that, definitely. And yeah, Martial has obviously suffered from it, but I think Mata as well, he's gone under the radar a little bit. Mata, for me, is a fantastic player, and he's not being played that much lately as well. I mean, he scored so many goals for United, but we're playing him out wide, and he's not a wide player. Like Lingard in the number 10, for me, Sanchez would be much better suited there in that central position, but Jose doesn't see it that way. But that's what I've said, that's the worrying thing for me. He doesn't know his best system, he doesn't know his best starting 11, and surely by now that should have been figured out. That's why I think he's got a massive summer ahead of him. He's got to win the league next season and find that system, or else I think his time will be up.
It is interesting. I mean, Sophie mentions Mata there, Xander. I mean, there's so many players this summer that could go. Martial, Shaw, Darmian, Blind, Fellaini, Mata, Pogba. I mean, who do you think's going to go? I just want to ask that. Who do you think's going to go? And Sophie can answer it as well. I mean, I think saying who's going to come in is speculative, but we know who we've got. Who do you think's going to go this summer? Say as many or as few as you want.
I think you could put that question in two parts. Who do you think will go, and who do you want to go? Because I think who I think will go, I don't know. All the people I want to go, the obvious people: Marouane Fellaini, Darmian, Blind, Ashley Young. You could even go as far as Marcus Rojo, Phil Jones. I don't know. You could go on. You really could. Fellaini. I don't know if I just said that. Maybe I'm going anyway. So yeah, no. But who I think Jose will actually sell, I don't know. He's come out and said I think Darmian and Blind will go, despite Mourinho saying that he wants him in his plans. Ashley Young won't. Fellaini's a difficult one. I think you said, Mark, that you don't think he'll go, but I think there's still a chance.
Well, it's his choice with that, isn't it? If Mourinho gets his way, he will stay, but he's out of contract, so it's up to him, really.
Well, let's fingers crossed that he does go, because he's not a very good player. But yeah, that's what I think. I think you can split it up in two parts: who you think will go and who you don't. Who Jose is actually going to sell. I've got my words marked up.
Sophie,
anyway,
who do you think is going to go?
I think Fellaini will go. I think Darmian.
It's got to be worth a like.
Blind. Yeah, and Martial.
Darmian, Blind.
Oh, Martial.
Fellaini, Martial. Yeah.
Stop! You'll make me cry in a minute, Sophie. Jesus. Stop.
Remember to do drop a like on the video. Actually, I haven't asked for that tonight, so please do drop a like on the video. Sophie and Xander on, great guest. Flex can't be here tonight because he's been down doing the fan cam, so he wouldn't be back in time. So please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I think I would probably agree with what Sophie said there, but I think Fellaini will stay. So I think Darmian and Blind will go. I think it was obvious Blind's going today, the way he was taken off and applauded. Darmian's got to go. So those two definitely. Martial, I believe, will go. I think Luke Shaw's going to stay unless he decides he wants to go. I think the club will keep him. And I think that'll be it. I think Pogba will definitely stay. Well, I'm not going to say definitely. Never say definitely. I think Pogba will stay. And I think Mata will stay. And I think Herrera will stay. They're the ones I'm sort of worried about. I don't see a Young or a Smalling or a Jones going at all. So yeah, I would agree. I think Darmian, Blind and Martial. And then maybes over Pogba, Shaw, Mata, Herrera. They're the seven. I don't see anybody else going. Maybe Pereira as well. Maybe Andres Pereira, but that's about it. Anyway, we've got to end early because Sophie needs to get off and I need to sort out these fan cams. But what I want to say is click the eye in the top right hand corner, because if you've not seen the fan cams, there's two up. Paul's rant is up, the full one. Do not miss it. Very, very interesting what he says, over 10 minutes. We've also got Barbara, old Barbara. That's not even nice to say that. But she says definite progress, and Paul says no progress. And at the end of Barbara's video, Paul comes on it because they had a bit of a fallout in December, so that's worth it. So make sure you watch the fan cams. But thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on as well. End of the season, FA Cup next week. Let's hope we win that. For Fergie as well, I want us to win that.
Well, we are going to do a season review, but we're going to wait till the FA Cup's done. So we will be doing that on a Sunday night, probably next Sunday night. So we'll see where we are. But yeah, FA Cup's massive, and we'll be building towards that this week. And Xander, thanks for coming on. You can start off back to That's Football now.
Oh, I've got to, haven't I? I've seen the amount of Sander outs in the comments. I better be off soon because I don't think they're a fan of me, Mark. But thanks for having me on, pal. Always a pleasure. I could come on here and go Jose out and get everyone in the comments to like me, but I'm not. I've got to stay positive. And yeah, on to the FA Cup. Come on, United.
Stephen Dillon says, is Poch being lined up for the end of next season? Some people would want him at the end of next week, I think, but we'll see what happens with that. You know, a lot can change in a season. Thanks everyone for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and make sure you get and watch that fan cam of Paul and Barbara. We are going to put some more up through the evening as well, which is why I need to finish early as well. But make sure you watch the fan cam. Some very interesting stuff from fans who are at the ground, because a lot of people say all the negativities from the United stand and it's watch along and this, that and the other. But actually, I think what you're finding is people at the ground are coming out a lot more negative than we are. So make sure you watch the fan cams. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Transfer Daily, 7 a.m. as well. So see you for that. Thanks for watching.